Finally, when he was condemned to death, de Rey cried out, "I am redeemable." And this brought people from far and wide throughout France to pray for his soul. Now, if that is not style, it is at least gesture on a national scale. All brought about by one man. But, of course, before you can build some such dizzy, dazzling structure as a monument to yourself, you must first get the foundations of your private life absolutely solid. From now onward, I think you should try to regard your home as your dressing room, and possibly your rehearsal room, and the world will become your stage. And at home, there must be nothing which doesn't represent the kind of person you have decided to become. It doesn't matter if your house is full of gadgets which are advertised on television every 20 minutes. They've got to go. And when you've got rid of the superfluous things, you start on the unnecessary actions. You should try to avoid all drifting and doodling and dawdling. And I used to say there must be no daydreaming. But when I was in St. Andrews University, a student said, "But our style is built out of our daydreams." And this seemed to me a wonderful thing to have said. So now I've altered my opinion, and I think you're allowed your dreams up to the age of 25. Well, after that, they may become an alibi. You understand me? It's no good running a pig farm badly for 30 years while saying, really, I was meant to be a ballet dancer. By that time, pigs will be your style. And, of course, it follows logically that if there's to be no doodling and no dawdling, there are to be no evening classes. Do you have evening classes in Los Angeles? Well, it's all right if we're going to learn to sing and dance, because these are activities, the results of which you take out into the world with you and wear like a crown. People who've learned to sing will always have richer, rounder voices. And people who've learned to dance will always have bigger, bolder movements. But as for pottery and basket weaving, what good are they? The moment the doors of the Evening Institute clang shut behind you, you're where you started. On the way home, you might get into an argument with somebody at a street corner and be left saying, well, I can't express myself. You'll have to come and see my baskets. Good. We're agreed. They are not an adequate, they are not a communicable form of self-expression. And when you've got rid of the unnecessary actions, you start on the superfluous people. Now, I've been forbidden to say that each of you must live alone. I'm told that my attitude toward cohabitation is glib. So I will lean toward true love, sufficiently to say that if you're actually stuck with somebody, you better stagger on with them. It's the very best I can do. Until recently, I had no opinions whatsoever about cohabitation. But in the last 2 or 3 years, I've become a kind of mail-order guru. People write to me, or they telephone me, and then they come and see me. Now, most of the people who do this are very young indeed, and I know why they visit me. It's in order to get the edge on their parents. Recently, a girl of 15 turned up. She got me to write my name on a piece of paper, and the very moment that I stopped, she said, I can't make up my mind whether to show this to my mother or not. She was going to save it for her darkest hour. When her mother says, you dress yourself like a harlot, you do nothing that your father wishes, you use this house as a hotel. The girl is going to say, "You don't know the half of it, Mother, I've met Quentin Crisp." And the other people who visit me are women in middle life. And over again they ask me the same burning question. Is there life after marriage? The answer is no. By now I must know 150 women, well enough for them to tell me the story of their lives. And when I meet them in the street, before they've said hello, long before they've said, "How are you?" they've said, "What do you think he's done now?" It stands to reason. The constant proximity of another person will cramp your style in the end, unless that person is somebody you love, and then the burden will be unbearable at once. How can anybody begin each dawn with a fresh assault upon his lifestyle if the moment he opens his eyes, he hears a voice beside him say, "And another thing"? And if going around in pairs is a mistake, even worse is going around in a heap. Unless it's a heap you can rule, but never be seen tagging along at the tail end of a demonstration. Never be found hopping up and down on the fringe of a pop group. And above all, never, never strike. Do you have strikes in Los Angeles? Whenever I talk to men about strike action, they always say the same thing. "It's all right for you. You don't have a wife and kids." I can tell from the sound of their voices that men regard a family as suffering incurred by accident and bravely borne. Even so, you must never strike. There is danger in numbers. They may nudge you into performing an action which is beyond the limits of your chosen style, and in public. The striker makes demands on the dreary grounds that he is one of many, all of whom are alike. But the stylist asks for what he wants in the name of the fact that he is unique, and everything in the world except diamonds, everything, even people, is subject to the law of scarcity value. As it becomes known through your style that deep down there is only one of each of you, then when the time for serious bargaining comes, you will win. But of course, it's not enough merely to get the foundations of your home life squared up. You also have to decide what you're going to do in the outer world. Now, some of you may be so old-fashioned that you still have jobs. If this is so, try not to get stuck in work where you deal with things. And I include the highest possible level of things. Books, paintings, sculpture, they are only objects, just like washing machines, but not so useful. Contrary to what romantic fiction may have told you, the life of a visual artist is a terrible thing. He stands alone all day in his studio, with his feet in a pool of turpentine, and his clothes encrusted with plaster. And that which he has created is taken from this place to a place of execution where it is hanged until it is dead. And all he can do is sit at home and read what it says in the art magazine. You must transcend your medium. By that I mean you must become more wonderful than whatever it is you make. You must be more significantly than you do. And if you possibly can, you must find a way of going to where the cheering and the acclamation are. I'll give you another example. Supposing I could drag onto this stage a huge, great piece of concrete with a hole in it. Everybody would say, "It's a Henry Moore." But if I could drag on Henry Moore, none of you would know who he was. So all that chipping, all that chiseling, it's been in vain. You must have a job where you deal with people, because then, every working, waking hour, you will be secretly polishing up your techniques of self-presentation. There are plenty of such jobs available. There's preaching. Well, we don't have any stylish preachers around now, but there have been miracle workers. Before any of you were born, I saw Amy Semple McPherson. Magnificent, dressed in white from head to foot, and with red, nay, scarlet hair up to here. And she said, "The Lord has sent out his angels on speed bikes of mercy." You could try something like that. Well, if you don't want to be a preacher, you can be a teacher. Teaching is also very stylish because the material in which you're working is nearly always children and teenagers, and they have built-in publicity value. It doesn't matter whether you encourage them or repress them, you're in. And the greatest teaching stylist the world has ever known was a Mr. Braithwaite. He wrote a book called To Sir with Love. It caused a great sensation when it was first published. But in that book there is not one sentence about whether geography is easier to teach than history, or whether girl students learn faster than boy students. It is full of what the children, their parents, and the other members of the staff thought about the writer. So now we know that whatever anyone says they're teaching, their subject is always themselves. Teaching is for teachers, not for students. But if you can't be a teacher, if there's nothing that you know and they don't, then you can try politics. Now, the world's greatest political stylist was Mrs. Perrone. Not the one you got now, the one before that, the one in the musical. I don't know if any of you realize in what a personal and at the same time pervasive way she ruled her kingdom. In England, spelling primers begin with the words, "The cat sat on the mat." No wonder literacy is at a low ebb, when the first glimpse of it is this banal and even distasteful piece of information. But in Argentina, spelling books began, "I love Evita." These were the first words that any of her subjects ever learned. But the crowning moment of her entire career as a political stylist came when she rose in her box in the Opera House in Buenos Aires to make a speech. She lifted her hands to the crowd, and as she did so, with a sound like trucks in a railway siding, the diamond bracelet slid from her wrist. When the expensive clatter had died away, her speech began, "We the shirtless."